later how I can. Great. So
Got
maybe
it.
you can teach me later how I can share it
Yep.
with Vic's family. So, yeah, I think this is a real, it's a touching kind of connection, to share. So it'd be nice to have that. And make sure you turn your phones off.
Where is my?
Let me just turn the sound down.
Vic's brother?
So,
Yeah, Loretta, are you Vic's brother or sister?
I'm Vic's brother.
You are, okay, okay.
Yes.
Oh, from Northern no, San Bruno.
Belmont.
Belmont.
Okay, we know, I mean, we've heard a lot about you over the years, so great.
It's not true.
It was all good stuff.
It is true.
Yeah, yeah, definitely good stuff.
Well, we're really sorry for your loss,
Thank you, thank you.
yeah.
My brother never, ever knew a stranger. Everybody he met was a friend, as you know.
That is true. Wow, wow.
Yep. It's very true.
So Doug, to reflect back on you saying that he sucked you in right away. There's more than several cute stories, but when he had his hip replacement, after being released from the hospital, we took him to Pacific Coast Manor to convalesce a little bit. And I remember pushing him into a shared room with two other guys in there. And before we made it to his bed with the wheelchair, he knew both guys and he's still in touch with them.
Yeah.
Her.
There's something about a certain openness, acceptance, openness, non-judgment, excitement about life, that's quite infectious.
Yes, definitely. I think he invented the word charismatic. That word came about
Yes, he did.
because of it. Yeah. So Kendra's back. You can unmute yourself, Kendra. It's kind of everybody share, talk, whatever.
There we go. I'm trying to get on my computer, which would be a little better. So if I go away,
Okay.
suddenly I will be right back.
All right.
I'm not
Permitted.
leaving.
So I guess we'll go ahead and get started here. Some of you know that we were going to have an in-person meeting this week. But last week was my 75th birthday and I was
Happy
exposed.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, but I was exposed to COVID. My little
Oh my
9-year-old cousin brought it, and bless her heart, but everybody's had very mild symptoms. I've had none. And so it was not a safe time to have an in-person meeting. And so I had scheduled this Zoom meeting in lieu of that. And, and then our dear Vic passed. So this is like the perfect, it's very impromptu, it's very organic. And so welcome everybody. I'm glad you're here. And for Vic's family, we're going to kind of follow what we normally do. And so the first thing I'm going to do is, let me just share a little bit first about what we're going to do. I'm going to do the candle, meditation, a poem, and a little screen share. And then we'll do some quick check-ins from the group here and then sharing memories, and that'll be a free fall. We can talk as much as we want, but there's just a couple little kind of ceremonial things that we do first. So I'm going to begin by lighting a candle. A brand new candle. So I invite you just to gaze upon the candle for a moment or two. Remembering our loved ones who've passed on. The loved ones that brought us here together, that brought our community together. I invite you to take a deep breath as we drop into our hearts. We connect to each other through our hearts. And as I lower the candle, I invite you just to look at the beautiful stained glass window that we all make. I just think this looks so much like a stained glass window to me. So I have a special poem to start with, and please, Daryl is such a good helper, but I'm going to do my screen share, and then Daryl's going to do a screen share. So let me just start with, and you'll be patient with me as okay, there we go.
I'd like the memory of me, happy one. I'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles when life is done. I'd like to leave an echo, whispering softly down the ways of happy times and laughing times and bright and sunny days. I'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun of happy memories I leave when life is done.
So Daryl, if you would put your photo up.
Thank you.
This was taken on, I think it was the 3rd or the 4th of
Oh, my God.
December. Okay,
Oh.
so I'm going to say that poem again. I wish I had Vic's voice, but I'd like the memory of me to be a happy one. I'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles when life is done. I'd like to leave an echo whispering softly down the way of happy times and laughing times and bright and sunny days. I'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun of happy memories I leave when life is done. Thank you, Carol. So, I thought those were just beautiful. They just speak Vic. As I was looking for poems to share today, there's so many beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful poems. But when I came across that one, I thought, yeah, that's it. And so this is an afterglow. Remember, after weddings, we all get together afterwards and there'll be this afterglow. This is an afterglow. So, and Vic left an afterglow wherever he went. So, so we're going to do real quick introductions and tell us who you are and where are you from, and been in the group or whatever. So I just kind of go around my screen. So I'm going to start way over there with Sue. Sue, you want to, and just kind of a quick check-in because we really want to kind of get into more memories about Vic.
Sure. Well, I'm here. I'm doing well. And, I have Daryl with me, and we met through hospice for Vic's families, and I always enjoyed the parties that he threw. That was really wonderful time. So, not much of an update. Everything else is pretty much the same with me.
Right, and the new puppy.
Yeah, I have a new puppy, and right now she's chewing up her dog bed.
Way to go.
Good dog.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Daryl, how about you?
Well, yeah, I think this week it kind of hit me too with Vic passing.
Mhm.
It was great seeing him on Monday. That was special. So I'm really glad I was able to go, visit him, even though it was a fairly short time. But now everything is doing pretty good. I mean, he was an inspiration. We'll talk about that, later.
Great, good. Yeah, one of my sorrows is that being exposed, I couldn't come see Vic. And but I have had a number of wonderful calls with Donna, who describes everything in detail. So and how lovely Vic's family has been towards her. So yeah, I hope to continue that connection with Donna, especially right now. So Doug, you want to check in with us?
Yeah, so my name's Doug. I met Vic the week my wife passed away. And that Friday of that week, I went to hospice drop-in meeting, and there he was, and I ended up sitting next to him, and like I say, it was instantaneous. So yeah, and then, I got another relationship eventually. So did he. We kind of shared a bit of that journey as well. And yeah, I'll miss him a lot. I also think he had what I could consider to be a good death, if there is such a thing.
Mhm.
He knew who he was. He was satisfied in his own mind. He loved and he was loved, and yeah, and he had that great time to talk to you folks, and talk to his friends, and I don't think it gets much better than that. So anyway, that's me.
Yeah, great. How about you, Lynn? Would you like to check in?
Yeah. Well, I agree with you, Doug. I think that Pop being on the departing side of things, that it was well done, because a lot of people for the last 3 days prior really got to come and hold his hand, tell him stories. The grief group that came with the girls, there was laughter and tears and stories. I went in to take a nap one of the evenings. It was probably the day before he passed, and just see if I could get a little rest. And I just laid on the bed staring at the ceiling, hearing the laughter and the noise, and it was anything but quiet. I mean, it really resounded that there was something special going on. And yeah, I mean, I had a friend call me this morning and she said, Lynn, I have never felt like this before. We miss Vic so much. They're watching a 49ers game today, and they're gonna have a spot for him on their couch.
Oh,
And she said, she's been through some death in her family, and she said, for some reason, I have been present in this whole, she and her husband got to come see him. She said, I have been present during this whole time, mindfully sending energy and love. And I said, the house felt like it was like there was a tangible flow of positive, loving prayer energy coming in. I mean, I could feel it. It was like a, I don't know, like it was the center of a vortex, maybe.
yeah.
And it's been, I'm talking to Donna. I have told her that I asked her, do you like me calling? And she said, absolutely. So we'll definitely keep in touch with her, go out to lunch and maybe do some coffees and that sort of thing.
Take her to McDonald's for coffee.
You bet.
Yeah. Mel, oh my goodness, we were driving past McDonald's. We were heading to Heavenly to go for lunch, and Mel said, oh my gosh, we have to let the people at McDonald's know. You know what I mean? It's that far reaching.
Mm.
But personally, I feel I have no regrets on how Steve and I were with my pop.
Oh,
I
God,
mean,
no.
he was such a part of our life all the time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So something I often remind people, especially when we start to feel emotional, is like, take a deep breath. It's really important, because as we feel and talk and speak about emotional things, I don't know about you, but I tend to like breathe more and more shallow. So just, I may remind you from time to time, take a deep breath. Yeah.
Right. That's a good reminder.
Thank
But,
you.
last night we got a phone call from our nephew that they're having a little kid's birthday party at his house for his 9-year-old. It's just for the kids, but he said, why don't you come? And then after we finished talking, Steve reached for the phone to call Dad to say we'd come pick him up. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I gotta take a deep breath on that.
Yeah, take a deep-
Yeah.
So moving on to Steve then. How are you doing today, Steve?
Well, until a minute ago, okay. I came onto the scene 40 years ago or so, and little did I know that I would have such a best buddy.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Breathing. Thank you. Yeah, and we're definitely circling back to tell the stories, because as if both of you speak, I'm thinking stories I want to share too. So, so over there in Ontario, Canada, Greg, you want to check in with us and tell us how you're doing?
Hi, yeah, I'm in Canada, and I met Vic through this group because I was invited to come, and because I was grieving having the loss of my mom, and that's how I joined this international family.
Yeah. Thank you,
So
Greg.
thanks for inviting me.
Oh, thank you for being here. So, okay, we're at, is it Loretta? Yes, Loretta's iPad. So Loretta, you and Joe are next, so.
Oh, I don't have anything to say. Of course, I've only known him for 85 years. So, anecdotes, so many, too many, so many. There could be no better big brother. I'll start with that. He's always been so loving and caring. Not so much when I was 8 or 9. He was 16. However, after that, he would give me a quarter to clean the white wall tires on his new Chevy. And by the time he got his Oldsmobile, I got 75 cents per white wall. And he'd loan me his cars whenever I had anything to do. And the memorable one was when I borrowed his car to take my date out for a prom.
Wow.
Of course, when I picked her up, she was all dressed up real pretty and whatnot. We went out, and got in the car, and got to the top of the hill and stalled. So I had my date push me in her prom dress. And I thank my brother for loaning me his car that was ready to break down. But I think one of the most memorable parts of the later part of our lives was being able to go to Brazil with him. I don't know how I got talked into going to Brazil with Vic 3 years ago, but we did.
Yeah.
And Rio de Janeiro has never been the same. We had a wonderful time. And I think Vic was very, very happy to have been able to go there
Mhm.
and visit with Mel and her family. As you know, Mel was the caretaker with Carol,
Mhm.
and she always stuck around to hang with Vic and became practically another daughter with him. He was a wonderful guy. And to me, he still is. I just haven't given up that he's not here right now.
Mhm.
So it'll take me a while.
Yeah.
To get there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Loretta, do you have something you want?
Oh, I just that he was so special. He was so special. And one thing that really sticks out in my mind is the love that I wouldn't say earned, but he had from his family. And Lynn and Steve, unbelievable.
Yeah.
The care, the devotion
And the care you folks gave him.
after Carol.
Mhm.
And then to repeat it and to do it with such love, such grace, I mean, it was an absolute, I hate to use the word pleasure in such a
Yeah.
situation, but to see that and to know that exists. I mean, they're very, very special.
Mhm.
And I know that Vic knew it and appreciated it. So.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I'm so glad you two could join us today. This is great. Yeah.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. How about
He
you?
always
David?
spoke of his group. He loved his group.
We loved
Yeah.
him. We loved
He
him.
did.
Yeah.
He looked forward to seeing you
Yeah.
all.
Right. Right.
And you made all the difference after Carol.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. Without that group, your group, I don't know.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was, of course, he would have had his family and all that, but you gave such dimension.
Yeah,
Sure.
well said.
And purpose.
And purpose,
purpose.
yeah, a purpose to keep going, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he loved it
Yeah.
sincerely.
Definitely. So David, would you like to check in with us?
Sure.
There we go.
Yeah, it's kind of, the whole thing's been kind of surreal. It's gonna take a long time to realize Dad's not there. You know, I love him as, he's such a character. And had such a enormous heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm so thankful that he had, you know, so many friends. It's just, it blows me away of how easy it was for Dad to make friends.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
pretty fortunate to have a dad like him.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Cheryl, would you like to pipe in with, check in with us a little bit?
Yeah, I'm with David. It still seems kind of that surreal. I lost both my parents a long time ago, and it kind of brings back that same feeling of that, like Steve, you want to pick up the phone and call him, and then you remember you can't. So we're doing okay. We're just kind of in one foot in front of the other stage right now. And definitely appreciate
Hmm.
this group. He's so social. And I think having this group as an outlet and to make new friends was so amazing and important to him after Carol died.
Mhm.
So yeah, thank you all.
Oh, thank you. And Maria, are you there? Whoops, maybe she had to step away, so we'll come back. Alexa from Cabo. Would you like to unmute yourself though? There we go.
I've been doing great. I've been doing fine. I love my new home. But seeing all you guys that love Vic so much just brings it all up for me. And I just wanted to say thank you all for, well, the family in particular, for including me as part of the family. Nick and I were super close. And I think one of the, so two quick stories, but the thing I remember when he first came to our drop-in group on that Friday, and the same is true for you, Doug. There aren't that many people who come when they've lost a loved one with their family. And all you guys came with Vic. All you guys were there. And it was so, I just thought, before I even knew him, I thought, wow, what a wonderful guy to have such a wonderful family that just surrounded him and cared about him and loved him so much. And then I've gotten to know some of you, of course, Lynn and Steve so well, and David, and I mean, just, and all you guys. It's just wonderful. And somehow, Kendra, seeing you, I know how much you love Vic. I'm so touched that you're here. So I think I'll be able to talk a little more later, but I did want to share, I kind of didn't even realize that this was kind of auspicious. But I had a dream about Vic last night.
Wow.
And it wasn't like, it was just like a regular day. I don't know where we were, but he was sitting in a chair and he was wearing sort of like a cream colored, maybe a little bit light yellow shirt. And it was pretty, seemed like it was pretty recent, because I know he was at, I remember thinking, I don't know if we were in my house, but I think maybe. And I remember thinking, oh, he's having a hard time walking. How am I going to get him home? And then I don't remember what we talked about, or if we talked or whatever, but he was there just comfortable, happy in a chair. And then either Lynn, you or Carol came. I don't know, it was a woman, and took him home. And it was, I didn't even realize until like later when I woke up, I was like, oh, wow, this is just so special. So anyway, I was like, kind of like, there he was. And I feel like most of you guys, I texted Lynn and Steve and I just said, I feel like the day after he passed that I'm just gonna wake up and it's gonna be some kind of a bad dream. But anyway, having a dream with him in it was wonderful. And I think I maybe won't pull myself together. It's just so emotional for me seeing, I know how much you guys love him. And it's just, okay, that's what I'm doing.
Thank you, Alexa. And I'm reminding everyone to keep on breathing. It's important. And one thing we always found, especially at our hospice groups, is that we could be in deep grief and share like Alexa, and the next minute be laughing about something, because it's all part of the whole. It's all part of it. So and also the other thing I want to remind people is that when we lose somebody, especially someone like Vic, it also triggers all the other losses in our lives. So, just be aware of that this is just part of the whole. So thank you. And now to our girl that we all love so much, our adopted granddaughter, Kendra.
Oh,
I just feel like to know Vic was to love Vic, I think, and to be loved by Vic. And I also was there that very first day that Vic came into the hospice group, and I have such a clear memory of him and Lynn and Steve and everybody else who was there. But I also, I was at church the very first time Vic went after Carol passed away, and he was by himself, and I didn't know him really. I mean, like, I didn't really put it together that he was someone who I'd met at a hospice group before. And I remember him sitting in the back row by himself and having a very hard time. And I just went up and I was like, because this is shortly after I lost my dad, and church was where I feel very close to my dad too. And I was like, do you mind if I just sit with you? And I just remember sitting there and I held Vic's hand, and they brought like the communion back to us, and just, I didn't even know him. And just there, it just felt this like very strong connection with him. So I think about that often. And then of course, after that, my best friend, little Vic. So, and I felt very adopted, like Chris said, by this group, and to be included and feel so loved. And I'm just incredibly thankful. Vic was a ladies' man. He was a little old for me, but I remember the roses and just the most thoughtful person. And Steve and Lynn have been really great this week and keeping me in the loop. And we've been talking and texting, and my heart is broken a little bit because we had talked and I was going to come on Friday afternoon, stupid audition week at the high school. And so I couldn't get away. So it was, that was hard, but I was able to, as you guys know, Vic gave me the clarinet, his son's clarinet. And we had this plan, and Vic was going to come and like get to meet the band teacher and give the clarinet to her, and to honor his son. And that wasn't able to happen. And I've been having it in my drama room. So when Steve and Lynn texted me, I was like, I have to go. And I went over and I was able to give the band teacher the clarinet, and she was so honored. And I was able to send a picture to Steve and Lynn, and I hope you guys were able to share that.
Yeah, I showed that. I mean, yeah, that was just what I've shown that around. It's just the most beautiful thing. I made sure that my brother saw it. Yeah.
So it's she's a clarinet player too. So I think it's
Oh.
kind of this like this really cool serendipitous thing in the world. And so she was, you know, it's an older instrument, and so she was very excited, just like historic. And I don't know, I feel like, sure Steve and David know this, but to lose like a hero dad like that is so hard, and that's how it was with my dad. So I really feel, and Vic was someone I love very, very much, and I'm heartbroken, but more than that, I feel just more surrounded by the love, and I'm just thankful for the time that I got to spend with him more than the heartbreak. I feel that outweighs it. So I'm very
Thank you, Kendra. Yeah. So Maria, you're back with us after your
Sorry.
phone call. That's okay. So would you like to check in with us?
Yeah, I'm fine, but just, yeah, sitting here heartbroken to hear of Vic. Yeah. He was vivacious is the word that comes to mind.
Definitely.
So full of life. And the world is a little less without him in it. Yeah. So.
Definitely. Thank you, Maria. Yeah. So Daryl's going to play, not I don't play, but show us some photos. But before we do that, I want you all to know that we are together because of Vic. Way back 3 years ago, 2018, 19, whenever it was, I presented this idea to hospice, but it's kind of out of their format. And so Vic and Rod went around town everywhere, finding a location for us, found the church up in Scotts Valley. Yeah, it was Vic and Rod.
Yeah.
Oh, bless his heart. I'm thinking, here's this, at that time, I think he was only 80, he was a youngster of 89. And, yeah, and it's like, oh my gosh, look what he's doing for us. And then those very first meetings, guess who was in charge of the chair committee? Vic was setting up chairs for the meeting. So, and passing out flyers. He got the word out, put flyers up in all, not just the Catholic churches, all the churches. Yeah, and I just have to like tip my hat to that he was actually, you know, a front runner in making this all happen. So I'm very honored about that. So Daryl, you want to share us some pictures? And I tell you what, as the pictures come up, let's all just share and talk. Okay. We don't have to raise hands or anything. And if you have an idea or remember that event, yeah. So Daryl.
Well, before I start on the pictures, I have to say that the first time I went to hospice, it was very difficult for me. You know, we go around the room and kind of check in. Excuse me. Yeah, that would be great. My throat's getting kind of dry because, you know, all the emotions. Anyway, I decided to come back because I did feel better afterwards, you know, but I think the next time is when I first met Vic. And what I found amazing was how 1 minute he could be crying, really emotional about his wife. And then later on laughing also, because I didn't know if that was okay or not to do. I mean, this was all kind of new to me. And then we had a kind of a special bond immediately because my name is Daryl. And that was, you know, pretty special to Vic too. But I'm going to show a couple of pictures at Vic at Rod's wedding. And that was really special because seeing somebody find somebody to be with, particularly at his age, was quite remarkable and so precious. So, you know, just unbelievable for me. So I'm going to go ahead and just share some of these pictures. And there's Alexa and Chris.
Oh, hi, Alexa.
And I think that's Doug back there. and
Yes.
Linda.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a good cast, but it
That's
was
Donna there.
Yeah.
Boy, she looks like Carol.
Yeah.
so sweet, seeing this. And then there's a, picture.
Oh,
It's
oh,
great.
man.
And then the toast, but I love this smile and,
Oh, yeah.
it was so great. And there's the yellow shirt,
That is the yellow shirt. That's it. That is the
Yeah.
yellow shirt.
Yep, yes.
What about the yellow shirt?
That was,
That
in-
was in my dream. That was the
Yeah.
shirt.
Oh,
I
wow.
believe he came to visit you, Alexa.
yeah.
It probably has a yellow pen in the pocket.
Oh, look at that. Oh,
Beautiful.
But this is the greatest one. Now, you have to know the backstory of this because
He's there
Vic
for the
was-
garter.
Vic and Donna were sitting at the farthest table away, and the grass is kind of really uneven. So I walked Vic over here, and he was so excited because I'm going to catch the garter. I'm going to catch the garter. Now, what's really funny, I think Rod was trying to throw it to him, but he threw it. Garters are very light, but he threw it over the head. But look at Vic's face. It's like, what are you doing? You threw it. It's like, wait a minute, you didn't throw it to me. And that's what's to me is really funny.
oh, that's lovely.
Is the crack up, Yeah, so, but I love this
Oh,
picture.
I love that. Oh, my gosh.
Girl, that's beautiful.
I just look at the smile on both of their faces.
Yeah.
And what's really funny, the way that they would sit together at hospice, and she was always dressed proper, and you can tell Vic was trying to spruce himself up, and she was so ladylike, and Vic was just kind of a common guy, and the way that they were bantering back and forth. I kind of said it was the Lady and the Tramp. Type of, it was
Good
so
one,
funny,
Yeah.
that they almost seemed like opposites, but they fit perfectly together. And then, these are the pictures that, we did earlier. And then, the guys get together. We call ourselves the Men of Action. And I had just bought a new camera. It's a black and white camera. And Vic looked like Vic. And I said, let me take a picture of you.
Oh.
And I just love, the eyes. If you look really close, you can see my reflection. I'm standing right there.
Oh, wow.
But just the character in the face, and you could tell that every line on there had a story. And
Oh, yeah. for
that was
sure.
just what was so special about Vic is I love listening to every single story he had, every car he had. And then the whole thing with the Lady and the Tramp started about her Miata and how Vic wanted to turn it into a convertible. And then she didn't want to let him touch any of the buttons in the car. Don't you dare touch any of my buttons. And that was so funny. And he was just such a special person.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, my gosh.
Great
Carol.
photos. Thank you.
Thank you. I would love to get
All of
all of them.
Oh, sure. I'll send them to you.
Thank you so much, right?
In
Yeah.
fact, if everyone that has any pictures of Vic, please send them to us. We want to put together a big collection of the pictures to share with all of you and with the family.
So is it okay to share one quick car story about
Yeah,
Pop?
it's freely, go for it. Anybody wants to share, go.
Mom and Dad would come to Kona with us like once a year for quite a lot of years. There was this one year that it seemed that the rental company had an overabundance of red Mustangs, convertibles. And every time, I mean, they were there for 2 weeks, and every single time one went by, Dad would go, "Man, that's the best looking car ever."
Because if I had the bucks, I would follow one of those.
So Steve and I had this little discussion one night. Let's get up in the morning and go rent one of those cars and park it in the garage that we walk by every morning to get into our car for an excursion during the day. We won't tell them. We won't say anything. And so it was meant to be this way. The first spot when you walked into the underground garage, that's where we were able to park that car. And we had the top down, and so Steve walks past, my mom walks past, I walk past, and Dad's the last behind us. And he goes, "Whoa, you guys, come back here and look at this car." And so we come back and he's like admiring it. And Steve goes, "Vic, it's a rental car. Nobody's around. Just go sit in it." So he opens the door and he sits in it. He's like, "Man, this is a beauty." And Steve goes, and he had the proximity key in Steve's pocket. He goes, "Press that button."
See what happens.
Oh my God, the expression on his face was a little bit like terror and so much. And then Steve started laughing and he pulled the key out and he goes, "It's ours for the day. Come on, let's go."
That is a great prank to play on.
Oh my God, it was so, especially when he took the bait. I didn't think he'd ever go open the door and sit in the car.
Lynn, he often told the story of selling your mother's Jaguar.
Oh man.
I was going to tell that story. I never let him forget that.
Oh my God.
I let him forget it 5 or 6 times, actually. I know it pretty well now, but
Well, please tell
You
it,
tell it.
somebody. I want to hear it.
Go ahead, Doug.
Tell it, Doug. I just always gave him a hard time. I love cars. I love cars. And I guess your mom, he'd gotten your mom an XKE. Was it, you can finish the story, Doug. And somehow he sold it out from under her without checking with her. I was like, what? How could you possibly do that?
Oh yeah, too.
he said she never forgave him. But
I
he's
never would.
did forgive him. But anyway, he sold it to some relative who never paid for it. That was the kicker of the story, right? It was like a nephew or something.
You
And
wouldn't tell me that.
cousin.
Tell me.
It was like
He wouldn't
one of
tell
his
any of us when he did that and sold to Bob of all people that I knew wouldn't pay him anyway. We didn't know until after he did it. But never forgave him either. But
So
I'll
as
tell
a
you what,
reminder of that car, remember how Avon put colognes in all kinds of different little,
Oh, yeah.
they have an XKE Avon bottle that sits on the toilet on the back of the toilet. So every time you walk in the bathroom, there's that little reminder about that car. Oh my God. That was like, she never did forgive him about that. That was a button that we all prevented pushing when we were kids. It's like, I'm not going there. Oh, and as far as stories, we have a friend when dad, I don't know if I told you this already, but we had a friend who goes, "Oh, that's my favorite story."
Yeah. So on the car thing, there's many stories, but it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh yeah.
We sat down and extracted from Vic and created a list of every car
Oh,
we
wow.
owned. And I think it's around 40.
Yeah.
And but
Wow.
we've got a story, obviously, a story with each one. Oh, I did this in that car, or that's the car we took to Mexico, or this and that. And it's neat. And if anybody's interested, I'll be happy to, I'll send it to Chris and she can.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, that would be fascinating.
But the car story that really resonates here is us kids as a family for years used to say, if dad didn't drive every day, go ahead and finish that line, Dave. his head would explode.
Oh, yeah.
And so what we didn't realize, obviously in the morning, he'd get, oh, I gotta go run a few errands. And he would just, and I'll be back at 2, which meant 4. And what we are really starting to understand is that every errand he ran, he has friends there.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
over the last 5-ish years, I've gone on lots of errands with him. And I've been introduced to the entire staff at Nob Hill. But I mean, the cool part is that he knows each of those people and their backstory. And so on the drive all the way home, he would tell me, oh, this lady, her daughter went to this school, and it's endless. And then, for Mel to tell them, well, we have to go to McDonald's. There's a number of Hispanic girls that work at McDonald's. And so he speaks Spanish to them. And whenever he would come in, he never would do the drive-through. Whenever he'd come in, they would sneak him stuff for free. And it's just, I mean, it's endless, but it all somewhat around the cars.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the dollar store.
Well, and so out of the dollar store is an interesting synergy, is that Donna has a very good friend, Heidi, who works there. And of course, independent of each other, Vic met Heidi as well. And so the 3 of them have done a lot of things together, which is neat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
I was in for once, and there was Vic at the checkout line, and Heidi was planting a kiss on him.
oh yeah.
In fact, let's face it, he was a chick magnet. I thought for a long time, well, maybe he's at the age where women look at him and say, well, here's a guy that's harmless,
They didn't know.
I didn't know.
Do it than that.
Oh my
I
God.
don't know if you people are aware that Vic was a 49er fan. And all
Really?
49er games, Vic and I would be calling each other to tell us what would happen, because he's in Scotts Valley, here we are in Belmont. So like 3 or 4 days before he passed, he said, Joe, you got to take the jacket. I said, what? I don't want it. You got to take it. I don't want it. So I was leaving the house after Vic had left the house, and Mel passed the jacket to me. So Vic will be watching the 49er game with I'm wearing during the game. Hey, Lynn.
That's the
That's
leather
your dad's
jacket.
hat
Yeah,
also?
it's just hat.
So he's watching the game with me. He doesn't have to call this time.
So we just found some pictures of him when he just got that jacket.
Oh,
Because that came from Candy, Denny's daughter.
Yes.
Yeah. And
This
so
goes only to 49er fans. Only.
yeah.
Lynn and Steve, is it possible to show everybody, if they haven't seen it, that just wonderful picture of you and your dad after the Niners won on Sunday?
Oh,
yeah.
It's,
I think that we could probably do that.
I might have, oh, wait, maybe I have it.
I sent it in a text to a couple people.
you sent it to me in a text.
So the race is on to see who can find it first.
Send it to Daryl. He'll have it up in a nanosecond.
I was thinking, yeah, there's somebody more professional than I.
I'll upload it to my Google Drive and then download it to the computer.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Looking. Oh, wait.
I'm also searching for pictures of Vic. So if you see me, like,
Right. Yeah.
Oh, where is it?
Okay, so I have it.
I have it on my phone.
So I can send it to you, Daryl, but I need so I just message it to you or email it to you or what?
It's my name, so daryl@gmail.com.
Okay, so I'm gonna email it to you. Okay, hold on a sec.
You are 2 L's.
DAREL, just Daryl at gmail.com?
Daryl Etter, ETTER.
As
I
you
don't know
see
if
it
you
on the
can-
screen.
You can see it on the screen.
He's got 2 hours and 2
I
hours.
have you.
Okay.
Okay.
There.
Oh,
Daryl's gonna get it in a second.
Yeah,
oh, look at
that's
that.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
I love it.
That's great.
Ah,
Oh, sweet.
Okay, I just sent it to you, Daryl.
Okay.
Okay, this is great. Something came up a minute ago. I forgot who sparked this memory, but Vic had us all in a stunned silence because he was talking about his New Year's Eve, and I think it may be 2 or 3 years ago. And I guess you folks didn't want him driving around on New Year's Eve, so you set him and Donna up with a movie. And he shares all. The movie was The Latin Lover, or How to Be.
that's right. That's right. How to Be a Latin Lover. That's
That was it.
God, they got such a big kick out of that. Didn't you guys all get wrangled up to the house to watch that?
Yes, we did.
Have you seen it?
Oh,
There it is.
Mary. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Love that guy. Thank you, Daryl. Wow.
Daryl, hold it up there for just a second, Daryl.
Okay.
And you'll notice on the side of the hat, there's a pin.
Yeah.
And that pin was given to Vic maybe the day before
Yeah, it was the day before.
from hospice, honoring him as a veteran.
Oh,
Hmm.
And he wasn't, it was kind of a low energy moment when the hospice person gave him that, and she thanked him for his service and talked a little bit about that. And he just had the pin laying there in front of him. And it was sometime a little while later, he looks at Lynn and he goes, "Get my 49ers hat
oh.
and put the pin on there so I can wear it during the game tomorrow." And just to connect all of that together was really cool. So there he is, our buddy.
So sweet. Yeah. So this was just last Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was phenomenal that the 49ers
Oh,
had a struggling game and ended up winning. And I had been busy in the other room, and the whole family sitting there watching the game with him. And I was in the other room, and it was just before halftime when I came into the room. And I didn't have my glasses on. So I look up at the TV, and without my glasses on, the 49ers had the ball at that moment. And the score was 0-17. And when the team has the ball for play, they put a little football next to the number. Without my glasses on, it looked like -0. I was like, and they literally climbed their way up to win.
Yeah.
And that was extra fitting for that last game for Vic to watch.
If you've ever watched a football game with my dad, he is kicking his feet and running through the tacklers and trying to get that ball down his own willing way, and it's even on this day, he was letting out all these growling noises and tossing his hands, so he was involved.
And for years he would sit in the living room, not directly facing the TV, but he'd be watching it
Kind of from
sitting
the side.
sideways with his head turned. And it was just, there's lots of good seating choices in that room, but that was where we always sat. So, yeah, neat stuff. Thanks for that, Daryl
Yeah.
and
thank
Alexa.
you.
I mean,
Wow.
he's good in that picture. It's kind of crazy that was Sunday. Like you can just still see that it's Vic and so much light even then.
Yeah.
And I don't know who said it earlier, but a good death, I think, is an
Mhm.
important thing to have and be surrounded by so many people.
yeah, definitely.
I'm also loving listening to Joe talk because it sounds so much like Vic.
Right.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
He's my brother.
So Kendra, I wanted to let you know, I was able to visit Vic on Saturday, I guess a week ago. And when I got there, he said, Doug, you have to look at this. He had the article about you and your class.
Yeah.
He was so proud, you know. He was so proud.
Doug, share that story, because until you said to me, because I'm out of town, I didn't know. It's a
Oh.
wonderful story.
Well,
Yeah.
You know, what it's about is Kendra's class at the schools he teaches at. They did a GoFundMe effort to raise money to buy a brand new wheelchair for Kendra. And these good ones aren't cheap. It was like $12, right? Yeah. And so I mean, that was heartfelt from them, you know, Kendra, that was amazing. And he just thought that was fantastic.
So Kendra, a side story to that is I get an email every morning called Outlook, and it's about what's going on in the community. And I scroll and look, you know, and all of a sudden the headline says, Scotts Valley drama students set GoFundMe up for their beloved drama teacher, new wheelchair. I go, that's only one person. Clicked on it and I found about it. And so I called Dad. Either we saw him that day and we said, okay, we're in, you know. And so he made sure that he got something into that GoFundMe. He was, so you might have to name your chair the Vic Mobile.
Yes, that's perfect. I'm just so overwhelmed by the outpouring of support from everybody, but that's very sweet to know that Vic was like, look at this.
Yeah. Well, I could tell it when we went to see your play, Kendra, how much those kids loved you. I mean, that was fantastic.
Wow.
And they were so professional. It was amazing. I've seen worse plays with, you know, trained actors. I mean, that was great. It was really, really good. And I could tell that those kids just absolutely adored you.
I adore them, so I'm very, very lucky. But yeah, it's been a crazy few weeks,
and obviously Vic adored you too.
Yeah. Well, I've been telling my kids. I've been talking about Vic this week actually, and I think I was at school when I got the text, and so I was able that Vic had passed, and I checked my email and I got the picture that Chris sent out that Daryl had taken. That's just like, I almost want to use that picture, and because I do a character study thing where I just put pictures of people up and people write about them, and I there's so much character and light just in that image. And I was like showing my kids, I was just like, this is my friend Vic. And my kids, they're like, from hospice, I talk about Vic a lot. And so I was able to say, and just like, yes, and he was very important. And I lost my very good friend today. And so my kids were very supportive and very sweet. And just the picture gave me an opportunity to like talk about him. And they're like, that's a handsome old dude. And I said, yes. Really cool. Yeah.
He's a character with character.
Yeah. There you go.
So if that's okay, I'll use that picture in my character study unit.
Oh, we would love to hear the outcome of that.
Yeah.
I can send you a higher resolution picture too.
That would be awesome. Pictures of random people, and they write whole stories about who they are, what their lives were, what they love doing. And
that's
so
cool.
Really cool.
What a great exercise. Yeah.
So we, Lynn and I have marveled for a long time. We finally came up with this term that we wonder what Vic's algorithm is and how he figures stuff out and all of that. And sometimes we think that he was born 100 years too late. And sometimes he's ahead of his time. And just a fun related story to that. We were in Athens, Greece with them, And Carol was a bit under the weather and not able to wander around. So I took Vic and we walked through what's called the Plaka, which is the area by the Acropolis where it's all these little alleyways full of shops and stuff like that. And so we were wandering through and all that. And Vic's algorithm kicks in and he goes, well, I need to buy some gifts to bring home. And so then now the algorithm starts to struggle of, well, what should I get? And I go, well, listening to him and all that, we ended up the idea of keychains so that he could give those away. And then I go, well, how many do you want? And out he starts counting. And then I go, well, what about so-and-so? And what about so-and-so? And we ended up, I convinced him, he goes, well, I need 13. I need 13 keychains. I go, why don't you get a few more? Okay, I'll get 14. just in case somebody else shows up. And I think I ended up convincing him to get 20. And then when we got to pay for them, he took 2 and set them aside and go, now just 18. But that took more than one shop. And just, there's so many things that are unique to his algorithm that were just incredibly touching.
Right.
We've had the benefit to sometimes be frustrated when they were happening, but so also get a lot of warmth and love out of it.
You left out the part, oh my God, is that, okay, so some of the Greek symbols of the, they have it, you have to look really careful because sometimes you can pick up a painting, little graphics that are actually Greek orgies. So the first key ring sets that Dad grabbed were like all Greek orgy ones. But if you don't look carefully, you kind of don't see that. And Steve is like, well, no, I don't think those are the ones you want to give out.
And then so on that same line was,
oh,
he goes,
God.
well, maybe I'll get some playing cards for people. And there's decks of cards that show
The same thing.
all the Greek positions. And it's not obvious necessarily.
Funny.
Dad.
Yeah.
Had us all right there with him as he was planning his trip to Brazil, and always explaining Mel, he was pretty sure people thought he was dating a younger woman, and he'd always tell us, no, Mel, she's our friend. But he had us all involved with safety going to Brazil, and what he said, they'll rip Carol's ring off my finger, and so I don't know how many weeks that he talked about that, and we were all, concerned. I think he ended up wearing all of his jewelry around his neck.
He took it off and left it, I think, in their hotel room.
Left it, yes.
First time off his finger, he said. First time off his finger.
Yeah. And I could see in that picture you showed, he's still wearing it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. The other thing is Vic is so loyal to hospice. Through our in-person hospice visits, he'd come in a couple times a year and say, my friend so-and-so died, and always donating to hospice. It just really touched us all. And I don't think he ever missed one of our Friday family. We called it Friday family. He would show up and Alexa would be the flower between him and Doug. It wasn't until just recently, like in October, November, when we stopped doing the Friday thing. But I mean, he never missed, and he went through contortions. I mean, driving all the way up to Doug's house, and yeah, he was pretty. Doug, can you tell us the story of you and Vic finding the phone booth?
Oh, the phone booth one. That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, okay, this is going to take just a moment. I met Vic on a Friday at the hospice drop-in, and we pretty closely bonded. And anyway, that was the Friday before Memorial Day, and it had happened that we talked about getting coffee together in Scotts Valley. And so we ended up there in Scotts Valley, and he wore, his hat that showed his military service. So we ended up talking about that. And I had been looking that morning, for some sort of Memorial Day observance celebration to go to. And there wasn't much, the only thing I'd found was a service that was going to be held at the Evergreen Cemetery in Santa Cruz. So we were talking about that, and I'd also talked to him about this thing I wanted to do for a wind phone. And what that's about is that it originated with a story that happened in Japan. And it's a true story. After the tsunami that they had there, and so many people were killed, there's a fellow that put a phone booth in his yard. And he would, and it wasn't hooked up to anything. And he would go out there and talk to his wife. The wife might have been a brother. I can't remember now. But anyway, people heard about it and they started showing up to use the phone. So it's, in our culture, it's a bit of a stretch to speak to dead relatives. In other cultures, it's pretty common. But Vic understood it immediately. So we talked about that, and I said, I don't know where I'm going to find a phone booth, but this might be a good thing to do. Well, so we had this plan to drive down to the Evergreen ceremony and be there for the service. And so I had this big old Suburban out in the parking lot that I was driving for some reason. We walk out to the car, and of course the left rear tire is half flat, right? So we stopped at Scotts Valley Gas and pulled around the side of the building, and I'm going to share the screen here. Let's see. If you can see this or not.
No, go back. Yeah, exit, and then you got to click on it on the picture you want to show. Otherwise, it'll give you that whiteboard.
Oh, exit. Okay.
Yeah, so stop sharing.
Oh, okay.
All right. And now when you hit share, make sure you click on the picture that you want to show us. Right, Daryl?
Yeah.
Well, let's see if the.
There
Okay.
Oh,
There
there
it
it
is.
is. Wow.
Oh, my.
So this is what we saw when we pulled around the building. And, this is typical of what's happened to phone booths, right? There aren't hardly any more of them. And when there are, they've been stripped, right?
Yep.
And this one had graffiti, there was no phone. And Vic looked at it and he said, I'll bet you could have that one. And I'm like, really, and so we took care of the tire, put air in it and stuff, and we went down to the cemetery, and it was really quite touching, because he, although he didn't serve overseas, he definitely had a kinship with people that did serve. He often talked about, the people in his unit. I guess a lot of them did go into battle, and most of them didn't come back. He often said and it was just, some quirk of fate that he wasn't among them. And he felt very deeply about that. So anyway, after that, I went by the station and I talked to the owner, and I explained to him what I wanted to do. And he got this kind of far away look in his eyes, and he said, okay, you can have it. Please let me know, once it's done, I'd like to come see it. All right. So we got that, and let's see. And so anyway, it took it, got it off the ground somehow, got it to my house, painted it. And that's what it's like now.
Wow.
So you got a telephone in there.
Yeah, and so I found, through eBay, I think it was, I found an actual working phone. And
Wow.
and then there's what's called a flag on top here. And this is the flag. And it basically says, voice visits mean so much. Stay
Oh,
by long distance.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
oh my
boy.
gosh,
Yes.
it's perfect.
And you know,
Yes.
he was aware of what was going on, was always asking me about it. And he would talk, you know, when we get together at the drop-in group, he'd talk to people about it. And, you know, once it was actually in place, you know, he came up and he used it several times. And, you know, to talk to Carol. And it's just, to me, you know, it's kind of maybe just representative of the wonder, the sense of wonder he had, and the belief, you know, that her spirit was still there. It was still accessible to him. And it meant, you know, it really did mean so much to him to have that.
Where is the phone booth?
Yeah. It's out in my
in your home.
yard, and
Oh, okay.
so that's a picture of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And to know that Vic was part of all of this and that his belief is part of all of this. And Doug, I know you've had a number of grievers come up and use that phone and
Yeah.
have tremendous breakthroughs with their own grief. I mean, it's just been such a huge healing modality. And
Yeah.
it's so beautiful to know that Vic was part of the creation of all of that.
Yeah. Well, I doubt it would have happened without him. You know, but he was so certain that that was the one and it would work. You know, who was I to question, right? Had to go along with it. So anyway.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
Hey.
you for that.
Doug, is it still available for use?
Absolutely.
Come up and have a conversation with Pop?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I'll send you directions for how to get there. I don't think you've been, right? And anytime. It's just there. It's not on the road that I live on, but it's close. So there's no fences you have to scale. You can just walk there.
He told me about that, the journey to the phone booth. Yeah.
So
Doug, I think you make such a great point about Vic, as he was so certain about whatever it was that he'd set his mind to. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
such a force of nature. Who were we to ever question or say, Vic, are you, you had to go along with it. You had to go along with it. And it always worked out. He always had wonder. I mean, all the parties he threw, all the lunches. I mean, we all know how, I mean, he was out and about like a 35-year-old, you know, I mean, and it just became, certainly to me and those of you who, you know, Joe, you knew him your whole life, you know, I would have been exhausted. I mean, you know, I love people, you know, but oh my God, he went nonstop. And it was just so clear, you know, that's what, I mean, and talking about Lynn, and Steve, all the little, you know, the like McDonald's and the dollar store and Nob Hill, you know, he knew everything about everybody. And he was never in such a wonderful way. He was never intrusive. He was never like, what the heck is this old guy asking me these questions for? He was wonderful and appreciated people so much. And it just, you know, it came back for those of us who knew him and loved him in spades, and right back at him too. I mean, right until, I mean, even when he was in the hospital, I know he was making new friends.
Oh, yeah.
And with the hospice folks, you know, he was just always making new friends, and people just, I mean, we're all so grateful to have been, you know, a part of his life. I mean, just so grateful.
So we're quite certain that Vic knew the name of everybody that helped him on his last day in the hospital.
I'm sure.
Every nurse, every janitor, every physical therapist, and knew something about each one of them.
Yeah.
So what's really interesting, and everybody can raise their hand if this sounds familiar. Vic didn't keep lists. He kept scraps of paper and they were in his wallet. And there would be, I've gone through his wallet with him a number of times. There's little scraps of paper in there that were literally just itty bitty.
Like a Chinese fortune?
And there'd be a phone number on there, but nobody's name necessarily. And I go, what's this? He goes, oh, that's so-and-so's number.
So
Okay.
you, wow.
Again, this is so amazing. All of these little lovingly quirky things.
On one other note, Alexa, about how he went to the dollar store and McDonald's, and Steve and I, unbeknownst to Dad, had Find My Phone on our phones for his phone. So we would track him during the day to see, you know, where he was. And like, he was supposed to leave Donna's at 7 because it was going to get dark. And it's like, oh, it's 7:10. Uh-oh, he's going to be a little late. But, and then we would call his house about 5 minutes after he arrived and play dumb. Oh, you're home. Oh, Pop, that's great. Yay. How was your day? But Steve, during the day, Steve would be in the garage and he'd go, Dad's at the dollar store. Dad's at McDonald's. Dad's at Dad.
He's at CVS.
Yep.
So, you know, back, you know, more than a year ago, he knew all the bathrooms in town.
I bet.
And, he would go to CVS on his way to Donna's, even though CVS was past Donna's. So he would go to the bathroom, so he wouldn't have to rush into Donna's to use her bathroom.
I didn't know you guys were tracked. That's so great. That would work, you know, when he'd leave Donna's too late, I'd be like, Vic. He's like, no, it's not. Vic.
Yeah, exactly. I know. We didn't want him driving in the dark.
So it was never comforting to us to hear him say, oh, that's okay, I'll take the back road.
Exactly. I was
Like
gonna say
10
that.
times worse.
No, I actually think the back road was better. After living there for 58 years, pretty much could drive that road blindfolded. He and in so many different vehicles also. So I felt pretty, Steve less secure, but I felt that was probably a good move. You know, he didn't have to cross 17.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So there was one thing, I think I've shared this. We were talking about how people feel okay about talking to past ones. And I was taking care of Dad and in the situation where people are kind of winding down, my mom talked a lot to people in the room that we were unable to see. And there was one evening I was on the couch next to Dad and he was having a conversation and I couldn't, a lot of it was a bit mumbly, but then all of a sudden he got crystal clear. And this is what he said. He said, I'm going to be joining my wife this week and we'll be getting cremated and we'll be with my little boy.
Oh.
And it was crystal clear. And so I wrote it down. I'm like, oh my God, this is him talking. And then he said, hello, I am Victor Ramirez. So, and then there was one more thing that I wanted to share with you. And this, he was coherent during this. He was mumbling a little bit and I went and held his hand. I said, hey, Papa, how you doing? What's going on? He goes, you know, I think I want a little bit of coffee. I go, well, I don't know if that's good for right now. And he goes, well, what time is it? I go, well, Pop, it's 2 a.m. in the morning. And he pauses and he goes, oh, for Pete's sake. And then he just laid back down and was asleep. I'm like, nobody around to hear that. Oh, for Pete's sake.
And I think Donna told me that he never swore or said a cuss word. So Pete's sakes, probably big.
No, there was Son of a Beehive.
Behind, oh,
Yeah,
David, you remember that when you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
probably more than we do.
Yeah, Son of a Beehive is about it. Yeah. Or if he got really mad, he'd say SOB sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't tell this story the way Vic told the story, but somebody probably can tell it even better than I can. I mean, because some of us didn't know Vic in his younger days. So to us,
right.
he was this wonderful, very healthy, very, very, active, very, older man. But the story that he tells, and Doug, he's told it to you and me, I know, a number of times, but family probably knows it better than we do, about when he was doing sales calls and he went to, what was it, Denny's in the East Bay, and they
Oh, I remember.
Tell
Yeah.
that story. Has anybody not heard that story?
I
It's
haven't heard
so
it. Tell it,
funny.
tell
I
it,
would tell
tell
him, I would ask him to tell it over and over again, because every time it made me laugh.
Yeah. So tell us. I know Greg hasn't heard it. And
I haven't heard it. Okay.
Well, as I recall it, and you guys chime in if I'm missing something. So he was he was on a sales call in the East Bay, and he went to Denny's, I think it was Denny's, and ordered. It was very clear what he wanted. It was, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know it was toast, wheat toast, whether it was a sandwich or wheat toast with eggs or something, whatever it was. And when he got it, it was, if I'm not mistaken, was it white bread and it wasn't toasted?
Correct. Yeah.
And so he, in his, wonderful way, asked, said that something like, that's not what I ordered. And can I have wheat toast? And the chef and the cook and the server were both Hispanic. And the guy said, the server said something in Spanish like, this son of a bitch doesn't know what he's talking about, or, that's not what he ordered, to the cook. And Vic, of course, because he he spoke Spanish, he knew what they were saying. And he literally, as I understand it, now this may be a little bit exaggerated, leapt over the counter and grabbed the guy and said something along the lines like, you son of a bitch, don't, I understand what you're saying, and don't, blah, blah, blah. Is that close to what the story
Yeah,
was?
that was it. Yeah,
That's it.
pretty much. It hit his hot button. Whatever that hot button was.
You just can't imagine Vic I was like, whoa, okay.
wow.
Well, I hope he got his wheat toast.
Yeah.
So most of the times that his hot button would get pushed is when there was somebody that he cared about was being treated wrong. He would just tilt and would be so upset, and there was many times we had to rein him in. I'm gonna call this person, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna go give that guy a piece of my mind. Yeah.
I mean, he was a wonderful, sweet guy, but no stretch. But he was not a pushover. As we all know, he was stubborn, and when he wanted something and he felt strongly about something, okay, Vic.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
as we're coming around to an hour and a half now, I'm wondering if the family, can you share with us what your tentative plans are right now as far as arrangements, funeral, donation, whatever, that kind of thing?
I think for donations, we're asking them all to go to Hospice of Santa Cruz. They've been, obviously, without them, I can't even imagine, I don't even want to think about what this would have been like, this whole experience. So that's an easy one. The other ones aren't quite as easy. With the spike in COVID, we think that Dad deserved a time where everybody can gather. And so for services and for a celebration of life, I think we're going to hold off until it seems like the coast is more clear, and figure out a venue that will hold, you know, the right amount of people.
Yeah,
And
we need some time for that building to get built.
we need to,
Yes, you do.
Yeah, Levi Stadium, I think. I don't know.
maybe,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, we,
Yeah, where do the Niners play?
yeah.
That's where they
Yeah.
play. Yeah.
Nice stadium,
Right.
yeah.
Wow.
Who do we know that knows somebody on the Niners? Who know? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Work on that. Let's work on that.
We could put a picture on the big, what is it, Teletron up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then as for a church service, I think that we're going to talk that over if we want to do that sooner than later, and then do a celebration of life. I think, I don't know whether they should coincide with each other, maybe so, because that way everybody can get together just one time. So we're gonna, I think we need to talk to the priest there at San Augustine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, that's kind of, I guess, David, is that what you think also, kind of in that?
Kind of sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it sounds good to have it all at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, there might be a lot of people traveling to get there too. you know,
Right.
So.
Yeah, and maybe springtime will be over this COVID, you know, bump up.
One can only hope.
One can only hope. I have a lot of hope. Dad gave me hope. Yeah. Yeah. And then
Joe, does that sound okay to you?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
You could have it at Joe's house.
Yeah, we
Good. Good, yeah.
It's not big enough. That'd be horrible.
Yeah.
I think so. Even Dad's house isn't
Well,
big.
you know, I was thinking of the Cow Palace would be great because you used to
That would
take
be a
us
good
there
idea, you're right.
when we were kids to
Yeah.
watch hockey games. I
Got some
remember all
history
those
there.
hockey games you used to take us to there at the Cow Palace.
Yeah. Or
That's
Keys
great.
Stadium.
So there was an email that I sent out to some of our friends who have all seen Dad as their adopted father, because a lot of them, their dads have passed away or they weren't close. And I just, if I could share this one more thing, it says there was lots and lots of tears, lots of laughter, lots of stories. And if I've gotten any takeaway from all of this, it's that most things in life are chatter in the background. And what really matters are our connections that make a life so very rich and full. And I'm going to try to be more like Papa, reach out and listen, take interest in the stories that come.
Uh-huh.
That, as part of that email that she sent to our friends, was a few pictures of the sunset of the night.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
it did.
Beautiful.
And it was a world-class sunset.
It was one of those ones that you just rarely get to see. This doesn't do justice, but because it's on a little phone, but I mean,
Oh my gosh.
Wow,
Wow.
yeah, look at that.
it was, I mean, posting after posting on our next door site was of that particular sunset because it was so spectacular. And I think that was, you know, the heavens above welcoming Dad. Just saying, here comes somebody special, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for
Oh,
everything.
thank you all. So we usually end our meetings with a word or a thought or a phrase or something. So and I want to reiterate the afterglow. This is the afterglow of Vic's life. And I invite all of you to find the Vic in you, because he has touched all of us and we have parts of him inside of us. So, you know, kind of going with what Lynn just shared, just to remember the Vic that's inside of each of us. So I'll just go around our room. Starting up here with Sue. Sue, final thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted, to, think like Vic, be involved,
Think like Vic.
think like Vic and be involved and reach out to others. He was always reaching out to other people and that keeps you from dwelling on your own issues, and it helps yourself and it helps the person that you're reaching out to. And that's a valuable lesson that I have learned from Vic.
Yeah. Thank you. And Daryl?
Well, Vic gave me a lot of hope. I mean, like Doug too, is, there's can be, happiness also. And so that really helped. But one of the funny things that I think everything worked out for Vic, including him not having to take his driver's test. Right? It was postponed long enough so he could say, the heck with it, right? And I just, as weird as that was mean to anybody, if I told them on the street, they wouldn't, but I think you guys understand that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He was a wreck about that.
Yeah.
he stretched that out since July 25th, 2020.
Yeah.
He's been on extension since then, and we queued him up a few times to take the test. And I sat right here on this computer and did 1,000 practice questions with him to get him ready. And, in the beginning of the 1,000, this is by far his most distasteful subject. And, at the beginning of the 1,000 questions, he would only, he'd do like a 20 practice thing, and he'd get 2 or 3 right. And then, he had different opinions about, it shouldn't be that way. And we finally got him to where the only one that really still got to him was
the bike
if there's a
lane.
bicyclist, you're on a 2-lane road with a double yellow line, and there's a bicyclist. What do? And right, you could just see steam. No matter how many times we explained it.
We had a little piece of paper on the table with all the road drawn on it and my little toy Carmen Gia, so we could drive it and make the turns,
So,
It was great.
yeah, you nailed it, Daryl. That was
Yeah.
it.
Everything worked out for him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
I think it was actually maybe this next week.
It's on the 16th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
16th or the 19th.
Monday
was-
is the 16th.
Oh, there you go.
So
Yeah.
he was
Isn't
scheduled
it?
for
Oh, no.
yet another appearance.
Dodge that bullet, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So Doug, your final thoughts.
Yeah, Steve talked about the algorithm and, and I struggle a bit to understand how he could be so friendly and loved by so many people. But I think, I think he accepted things. I think he was very good at accepting things as they are and then moving on from that. And I think he was a real empathetic guy, and he truly felt for other people, and they knew it. And he wasn't judgmental. There was no judgment there.
Yeah.
If there was, it was very well concealed because I never saw it.
Right. We had a very colorful person in our drop-in group. Very, very colorful. We never were quite sure which way, gender speaking, it was she was going. Vic was amazing. Vic absolutely loved, he just encompassed him and included her. It was beautiful. Thank you. I've forgotten that, Doug. Thanks for.
We had talked, Vic and I had talked about that person.
I do.
And,
Yeah.
yeah.
We gotten into conversations of that. Mhm.
And then at the end, just like you're saying, he just, it's a nice person.
Mhm.
And
I,
That's it.
Yeah, you could see, and I think people knew that it was safe. You know,
yes.
they
Yeah.
were.
Safe.
I still haven't figured out the thing about being a chick magnet, though, you know.
You're not a chick.
You're not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah. So Lynn, your final thoughts this morning?
Um, I think Pop, there's a saying that Steve and I recently came across in this this Apple TV series, Ted Lasso, and it just says I can't remember, Whitman had written the phrase,
Walt Whitman, yeah.
Be curious, not judgmental.
Hmm.
And when you really think about that, you know, if more people took the attitude of Pop, this world would be an incredibly better place. And so I think it's you know, on the people that he's touched, maybe to carry that out into the world, you know, in his honor. And yeah, I mean, I love him so much and have no regrets of my life with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Steve, your final thoughts?
Well, it's on that subject of watching TV shows and stuff. In early COVID, Vic moved in with us for 7 months while Mel was sequestered in Brazil. And after we wore out the entire Netflix
Oh my God.
offering, that, you know, there's a number of shows that we all have watched, you have fond memories of, and you tend to forget those moments in a show that you don't want to be sitting there with your father or father.
Oh my God.
Either listening to, or worse, watching, or listening to and watching at the same time. And I just can't tell you how many, I think I finally got worn down.
We both did. Oh my God. It was like, well, we just set the bar higher again, didn't we, Dad?
So for the longest time, you'd sit there like this, not wanting to look over at him to see
Oh my gosh.
what the reaction was. But again, that was that boyish, non-judgmental guy sitting there. And it was just us that needed to adjust our perspective a little bit. But there's a good story from, gosh, 15 years ago. Lynn and I lived out of the country for a couple of years, and we came home for Christmas each year, and we would stay with Vic and Carol, and we got into this routine of doing our daily stuff, and then would have dinner together and would rent. This is before Netflix existed. We'd
Rent a movie.
go get a DVD from the little place in Scotts Valley. And we had a conversation with the woman who I believe still runs,
Linda. Yeah.
Linda, still runs that store.
Linda.
And so we
Yeah.
had the conversation of, we want movies that we can be comfortable watching with mom and dad. And so we call that, you know, going all the way back to a very old Saturday Night Live, give it a PU rating, which is the parental unit rating. And she gave us, you know, 4 or 5 nights in a row, perfect movies. And so it's a Friday. We've got yesterday's video with us. We've got to take it to the DVD store, and we're going over to David and Lynn's brother's house for dinner in Scotts Valley. And so we're pulling into the parking lot, and Vic goes, "Oh, there's this great movie. I read about it in
Sunset Magazine.
Sunset Magazine. It's in the wine country." Okay, I'll just go in and grab that. So that, I mean, and it had, you know, it sounds safe just because it's in Sunset and it's about the wine country and stuff like that. So I go in and grab the movie, don't have a discussion about the PU rating with Linda. We end up over at Dan and Terry's house, and after dinner, we're all sitting on the couch. So it's Dan and Terry and the two youngsters, Vic and Carol, and I'm between Vic and Carol and Lim. In this movie, we were actually frozen in place. It was so horrible. Nobody could garner up the energy
To eject it.
to go over and stop
There you
it. And the movie, for anybody that's seen it, was Sideways.
Oh,
Oh.
And so, yes, there's a lot of graphic pictures in there.
And the
Quite
language is
but the
atrocious.
dialogue was absolutely horrible and embarrassing, and we were frozen.
I think maybe watching it alone, it would have been a different story. If my brother Dennis could have, he would have crawled under a chair.
So, anyway, and that is in no way an endorsement to go watch that movie. Anyways, he's been my buddy for a lot of years. We've chummed around, and he's remembers, I swear, he remembers everything I've ever told him about work, about projects in the garage, people that I've done things with. He never quite remembered to drink his water and do his exercise, but all the other stuff,
right.
it's just, it continues to blow my mind. And he would just, things would pop out of him, where he would start a lot of times, as maybe some of you have noticed, maybe a little bit mid-subject or mid-sentence, and you didn't really quite know where he was coming from for a second. And then it's like, oh gosh, he remembered that, or he remembered this. So just one of a kind.
Absolutely. Thank you. So moving across the continent over to Greg. Your final thoughts today, Greg.
Well, thank you for having me today.
Oh, great.
My word would be extraordinary.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. So moving on then to Loretta, your final thoughts?
I think my final thoughts is he is a true Christian, and in the very real sense of the word, admirable. And Joe and I have been together over 50 years now, and this family never fails to amaze me. It's, and I think, that's a reflection on Vic. The kids that he raised is a direct reflection on him and Carol. So I think admiration would be my word.
Thank you. And Joe, your final thoughts?
Yeah, but keep it together long enough. Following Loretta's thought, he was such a loving person. I hope he channels some of it to me. But to tell you, his family, his friends, his country. Korea came up. Vic was destined. He was determined. He was going to be a Marine for his country. He had to memorize the eye chart because he was almost blind in his right eye. That's how he got into the Marine Corps. After basic training, they were lining him all up, final training for him. And finally, one of the drill instructors noticed that when you pick up your rifle, you can't, if you're right-handed, you don't aim with your left eye. And somebody saw that and said, whoops. And poor Vic, fortunately for him, they pulled him before they sent him over because he lost an awful lot of those friends because he's one of the first waves that went over to Korea. So he kept them a long time. We were very lucky.
Yeah.
And like I said, I hope he channeled some of that stuff to me.
Sure he did.
He did.
He did.
He did, Joe.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's one I had not heard. Something else?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought
Some-
you had something else you were going to say.
Oh, no, no, no,
Okay.
that's, thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Then, so David, our lookalike here.
Yeah, it's definitely one of a kind. It's an irreplaceable person. And I just hope some of his wonderful traits are rubbed off on me. I'm not quite as gregarious as Dad was. And I really admire him for being able to just walk into a room and make friends and just, be the person that who he is. Because I try to avoid people as much as possible. I'm totally opposite of Dad. He's going to be missed a lot.
Thank you. I'm so glad you were here today too. I don't think we've met you, so thank you for.
I don't think so.
Yeah, thank you. And so Cheryl, your final thoughts.
So many stories that have been going through my head. I've been listening to everybody, and so many stories that we told on Thursday after his spirit had left. And just so very unique. There never has been, and there never will be another like him at all. And he will be very missed. He loved everybody. He loved his family so much, and kind of swept a whole bunch of people into family. So, yes. Thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. So Maria, your final thoughts this morning.
There are a couple words that others have used. They're gregarious was one, but there's I want to say like a convivialness to Vic, his wanting to be with and around people, but he really wanted to know you. He was so sincere in that. So may we take it forward and think of him every time we pass a phone booth.
Yeah.
Oh, McDonald's.
McDonald's, yeah.
Dollar store.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. So Alexa, down there in Cabo, we saw your little puppy, which I remember sitting on Vic's lap in one of our meetings.
Oh, Gizmo.
Yeah, that was Gizmo. All four of them are right here, but so far they've been quiet. So as I was thinking about Vic, I was thinking, both from Vic and my mother, who some of you know died now it'll be not just last year, it'll be 2 years ago in May.
Wow.
She was 99. And I think for both of them, what I've learned is that even if you're getting older, you can still live life and enjoy life and just to the fullest. It doesn't mean you have to, you slow down. We're all slowing down, but it doesn't mean, that you can't continue to enjoy life. And just every day is, it's just wonderful to be here. There was an article that some of you, as many of you know, I do read the New York Times, and some of you may be familiar with a series of articles about there was elderly people in New York. The last one was a woman named Ruth who died at age 98 just last week. And Stephen Lynn, I was going to send it to you. It was right before your dad died, but I thought maybe you're not ready for this. I don't know. And the article is notes from the end of a very long life. And it is the culmination of a series of 21 articles about these individuals who all of them were in their 80s and 90s and were living, some of them were famous, some not, and were living these amazingly full lives. A book was written, a book, it was compiled into a book, which I own, and it's just, Chris, I will send this link to you. It's just it's so, and I feel like
Vic could have been one of these, except he didn't live in New York, one of the people in this article. It just shows how, I mean, he was indomitable. Is that the right? Indomitable. How do we say that word? Anyway, nothing got him down. He just, except for maybe drinking water and exercising, which I have to disagree with you, Steve. I don't think he forgot. I think he chose not to.
That's right on
Like,
point.
nope, I'm not doing that. They can push, they can prod, they can harangue, but I am not doing that. So anyway, Chris, I will send that to you, and I think it's just his, certainly for me, as I continue to enjoy every minute of my life as best I can, which I'm not complaining, it's pretty damn sweet down here and at home in California. But I think he really is an example to us of how, even as you get into your 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, hundreds, whatever, that life goes on and it can be just as good as it's always been. So that's I think one of the things that I will always be, be grateful for Vic for, just grateful. Thank you.
Oh,
Thanks for tuning in from Cabo too.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
nice to see you, Alexa. I miss you. It's good to see
Well,
you.
I miss you guys too. I will either make you guys happier or sadder, showing you what and
Oh,
Chris,
yeah,
I must correct. It's now Todos Santos, not Cabo, which is people
Oh.
who've never been here don't really understand the difference. But can you guys see?
Oh my goodness, I see some palm trees. Yeah.
Can you see the water?
Oh my
There you
goodness.
go. That's all beautiful.
Oh,
I don't know,
yes.
because I can't really see because it's in the sunlight, but I hope you can see the
Oh,
water.
we see it perfectly.
It's perfect.
Yeah,
Oh, great.
gorgeous.
So that'll either make you happier or sadder. I'm not sure which.
Well, happy for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great, Alexa. Thanks.
Thank you for
You're
sharing
welcome.
that. Yeah. And so we're finishing up with our beloved adopted granddaughter.
I'm so lucky. Look how many awesome people I've been adopted by. Kind of touching on what Alexa said, Vic was 92, and what an incredible long life. He could have lived to be 999, and I don't think any of us would ever feel like it was enough time with Vic. So I'm very thankful
What a sweetie.
for the amount of time that he was on this earth and for the countless thousands of people whose lives he's touched. A word for me for Vic, I think, would be radiant or radiating, because he just, love is what he gave to everybody. I don't think Vic had any friends. He had all family. And I'm just incredibly lucky. Something that's really got me through this week, or something I keep thinking about, is us meeting here like this. I know Vic is doing the exact same thing with all our loved ones that we've told him about for the last 4 years. And I just imagine like a little grief counseling, but for him up there with my dad and everyone's wives and husbands and moms that we've lost. And so maybe Lynn, that was him checking into the group going, I'm Vic Ramirez. And
Oh my God. That's exactly what I thought when I heard him say it. The way he said it was so it was to whoever was greeting him. That's what they were getting. Yeah.
And that's, I talk to my dad every night. Behind me is my little spot, and I turn on this lantern for my dad every night, so he's never in the dark. And I light it for Vic too now. And I just think it's an amazing thing. What an incredible life. And I know that my little memory table at my wedding, I'll have that picture from Daryl, and Vic will be with me, and I'm very grateful. And I know Steve and Lynn, I want to continue talking with you guys and being with you guys. And I know the COVID surge is crazy, but I'd love to get coffee as soon as everything's.
Absolutely. Or Kendra, and we can check in over Zoom, anything. We love seeing you.
And I'm so grateful. And I know I brought Luke with us to.
And Luke, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. Vic's parties were he was so excited about it. And I remember in grief counseling, someone new would be there that day and just stepped in the door and was like, here's an invitation. I don't know you. Come to my house. It's very fun.
You should go.
It it's incredible. What a life, and these people that he's connected us to. And again, I'm incredibly grateful, and I feel the love. And I found the picture, and I'll send it to you, Stephen Lynn, of the first time I saw Vic back after COVID. And it just was like, sorry, I'm taking up time. Here, I have it right there.
I have to say something real quick.
Oh my gosh.
For my brother.
Thank you. That was the
For my
first time I got
brother.
to see him at our first our Saturday meetings. Like what this
Oh my gosh,
That's
that is
amazing.
great.
That's great. Thank you, Kendra.
Oh,
For my bro, I want to say thanks to all of you. He was very fortunate to have you in his life. You made it more fulfilled for him. So thank you from Vic's part also. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I really believe Vic called us in. You know, he really did. And I think Vic has been an amazing role model for all of us, not just in growing older or being a 49er. He was authentic. Vic is totally authentic and totally inclusive. Always inclusive.
Mm.
Yeah. So thank you all. Anybody else want to share before we say goodbye?
If I could
Yeah.
just
Go,
say
Steve.
one thing as an example of this exuberance for life that Vic had. It was just, I would say, just several weeks ago, he's talking to Lynn and as she's trying to exercise him a little bit and stuff like that. And he goes, I've got to get better so I can take that train trip to Portland with Donna.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, he was going to see you in Cabo, or what do you call it now?
Santos,
Todos
yeah.
Santos.
Yeah.
Todos Santos. No, I was looking for, I mean, of course, but
He
I
was
feel,
ready.
I feel
That's
him
what he-
here.
I gotta
I know
go.
he's here with me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we'll have the house for probably 6 months to a year. And it's our intention to have at least one more pool party. And all of you guys will get notice, and we'll just give Dad a send off and fill that place one more time with our love. So that will be in the future for dates and that sort of thing, but that's our intention.
Nice. Yeah, he loved those pool parties. And like Kendra said, he always had his clipboard and he made sure everybody got an invitation. And I know of at least one person, that was her first thing. She like got right up there to be at the pool party. So, and then something about parking. Oh, look at Alexa's dogs.
Yeah, I know.
Aw. Lovely. Well, it's been my most extreme honor just to open this Zoom group. So, and to facilitate. Thank you all so much for being here and for sharing your hearts, for sharing your connections with Vic with us. And I personally love you all, and I know Vic is loving us all. So God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Love
All right.
you
Oh,
guys.
and I'll see what Daryl will teach me how to save the recording, and it'll be available if anybody wants it. Once Daryl teaches me how to do that. All right. See y'all.
Thank
you.
Have a great
Bye.
weekend.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Are you gonna stay with Chris? Get Chris do the.
So you know how to stop it, right?
Oh, I need to stop it now. No.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to mute you. How do I stop it? Go up to no.
So there should be under recording. You just
Yeah.
you can,
There's a button up there.
yeah.
Oh, pause.